end of these playoffs, it might be the old calf and the old bull because I am losing years off my life. These games are such a slog. They are miserable. It's stoppages left and right. The whistle's going off this play, that play. When the whistle doesn't go off, I get frustrated. It's just nonstop um, assault on my senses as a basketball fan. And I did a disservice to myself because I watched the Knicks versus Pistons game, and I'll tell you what, everybody, spoiler alert, it's happening freaking everywhere, and it's bad. I don't know what you covered on the pregame, Dad, but I mean, I'd imagine you probably predicted another physical game, huh?
I certainly did. The road killers
Oh,
are back, and they're
oh,
coming to eat your souls. Once again, what a tough fought game. Oh
yeah.
man, I'm proud of the boys. Again, this game wasn't as egregious as the previous one. I felt like these referees, they weren't necessarily much better, but they did a better job of calling more on the Celtics, calling more on Orlando. I felt like it loosened things up a little bit, still not much, still a lot of clutching, bumping, grabbing going on away from the ball. But hey, I mean, what a game by the boys. They had to persevere some things. I don't know what the hell was going on with Jalen Brown, but his first half performance was weird. Like he looked drunk. Like I don't know what the hell that was. He played a little bit better in the third quarter, then he disappeared again in the fourth quarter. So the Celtics had to battle through that. Derek White didn't do very much. He had, a couple of moments, but not usual Derek White, like
Nope.
big
Yep. You're
fourth
done.
quarters.
Right.
And Porzingis was definitely better this game after just garbage after garbage. But man, and another thing, the bench. What is wrong with our bench all of a sudden? They are hot trash. They are freaking dumpster juice. Hauser started off 2 for 2 from three, and they got nothing the rest of the way. Him and Pritchard got absolutely nothing. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, and you brought up a lot there. So first, let's talk about
Yeah.
Jalen Brown, right? Like you said, I don't know what it is. I was really hoping that that second game was going to be his bounce back, getting on the right track and following a rhythm. But it seems like now that Tatum's back in the lineup, he's taking a backup role, and I don't like it at
Yeah.
all. I also,
Yeah.
you watching the games, and they are incredibly physical with him, right? He's
Oh yeah.
pretty much hitting the deck every single time he goes to the paint. Um, and his 3-pointer, you talked about, him hitting a 3-pointer and getting in a rhythm maybe. It sucks because he hit like every 3-pointer in that game without Tatum. And then it seems
Yeah.
like he's forgotten to hit threes now that Tatum's back. So
Yeah.
Jalen Brown has been a turnover machine. What's up, Patrick Ryan? It has been in his MO in the playoffs. Yeah,
He was
I'm
better last year. He was much better last year. He wasn't great, perfect by any stretch. But if you remember the year before, when they were down 3 games to nothing to the Heat, that whole playoff run, he was brutal, and he was much better last year. I don't
he's
feel like
gotten
his
better.
turnovers have been a huge issue this playoff until today. Today they were bad. I don't know what the hell was going on.
Well, he
But
had
luckily
6
Tatum,
yesterday, and I'm sorry, in the last game, and then he had 4 today.
yeah, so that's not a good. I mean, Tatum had like 7 too that game. So luckily Tatum, you know, had his game on, except for those mid-range fadeaways he was struggling with for like the second and third quarter, but those came around for him too. But yeah, I tell you what though, you have to give Orlando credit. They're two top scorers. Those kids, man, they don't get rattled. They don't go on like big scoring droughts generally. Those two, man, do they carry that freaking team? They just every time the Celtics got to like an 8 or 9 point lead, they just not only could they not build on it because of those two, they kept giving it right back immediately. We couldn't even hold like an 8 or 9 point lead for like a few minutes. We
Yeah.
get up to 8 or 9 points like maybe 6 times, and we'd give it right back to them. It's like, oh guys, what the hell?
Yeah, and 13 turnovers in that game 3. That was miserable. Like
Oh,
that game 3
brutal.
was some of the most
Yeah,
disgusting basketball I'd ever seen. They almost had 20
yeah,
combined turnovers in the first quarter. Like both teams were just absolute dog water, and we tightened it up a
Yeah.
lot today. It was much better, I think, on both sides. They did a great job too. And we got Tim. Let's go. How big was that, Tim? That was ginormous. That was a
Oh,
massive game. A monkey off the back. They've lost 5 straight games in Orlando. That was their first 100-point playoff game in Orlando ever. This team is so ridiculous. And one thing I want to talk about is how hard they make you work for it. So Tatum had 14 free throws today. You want to guess how many times this season he had 14 free throws, Dad?
0?
Zero
Wow.
times. And that's
Yeah.
playoff intent. And that's with them swallowing the whistle, right? The amount of
Yeah.
penalties, the amount of, there's no easy shots with this team. If you have an open lane, you do not have an open lane because there's a guy coming behind you to put 2 hands in your back. Every single time the Celtics, if they're giving up an open layup, they usually just let it happen. The Magic do not do that. If they're giving up an open layup, they push you. They put a hand on you. And what I don't like about this is they gave the other teams a blueprint of how to defend the C's, smother the threes. Good that C's 2-point plays showed up. It is definitely a blueprint, but I don't think other teams have the defensive capabilities that this team has. This team has a very switchable set of defenders, Tim, and a lot of other teams can't hit the mid range like the Magic do. The Magic have a couple players that are really good in that, mid, 15 or foot area that, like the Knicks don't. The Knicks have almost nobody who can hit a mid range other than Brunson, right? They're a bunch of 3-and-D guys and Brunson, and then it's so I don't know. I don't know how people can replicate this. And you got to remember, the Magic are one of the best teams in the NBA defensively, if not the best team in the NBA defensively.
Number 2. Yeah.
And one thing to note is they were I think they were the second best team in the league until Banchero went down. Then they lost Banchero, they lost Suggs, they lost Mo Wagner, and that's when they started to trickle down into the play-in. Like this team together is a top 3 team in the East.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tim, you have to remember too, again, not to get back to the subject, the reason why this is effective against the Celtics and the reason why they're able to take away our threes is the way they are guarding off the ball. They are just so
Grabbing.
physical with our players who aren't even they're just basically just trying to like move around. There's just like these mini holes, these mini bear hugs, these bumps, just enough bumps to knock them off balance, and then so they can catch up with them. There's a reason why, and you know, if teams are going to do this to us, and they're going to be other, the Knicks in the next round are going to be using this as a blueprint. We need to start replicating that too. We need to start doing the same things until something is done to stop it. We can't allow teams to keep doing this to us and not do it and just play clean basketball with clean defense back because it's just not going to work. They're going to have the advantage if they get to foul all the time. So we just have to fight fire with fire if this keeps happening.
Yep, locking up the arms.
Locking up the
Yeah.
arms. Absolutely.
And I don't know how it's a comfortable product for Adam Silver. Like there's no finesse to the game right now. There's no strategy. There's no running plays, right? Because if you try and run a play, it's going to get
No.
blown up by a guy who's committing a blocking foul
Get it.
off
Hold
the ball.
in. Yep.
Like you
Yep.
can't even do this stuff in hockey. Hockey is way more physical than basketball. And in hockey, you're not allowed to grab onto people when they don't have the puck. Like I don't understand why in basketball it's now okay to grab somebody's arm when they don't even have the ball in
Yeah.
their hands. And this compensation for a lack of skill and just making an incredibly physical game is so frustrating. And really, the Knicks are up. What is it? 3-1 right now. If we make it through the series, right? I don't want to be a cocky fan. If we make it through the series and the Knicks make it through, I feel like it's going to be a breath of fresh air from the Knicks like us versus the
We're
Knicks.
gonna feel like we have so much room out there when we play those guys. Holy cow.
Oh, what an absolute slog of a game. So frustrating to watch with all the horrible fouls. I was pulling my hair out. And I mean, I think one thing I told my dad, I watched the Knicks Piston game prior to us. The Celtics had their lowest scoring quarter of the entire year in game 3. That's the third quarter. Today, the Knicks had their second lowest scoring quarter of the entire year with 14 points. Can you guess the referee? Did you already say this in the pregame, Dad?
Yep, the referee. I did not, but the
This
refereeing crew was the one from Game 3, the really bad one.
so that crew handed two of the best teams in the league their lowest third quarter performance of the year, first or second lowest third in back-to-back games. How is that not a problem? I don't understand how the league cannot see that as a pattern, a bad pattern. What's up, Dad?
This is why OKC, not to jump ahead, is going to be a major problem. What you're seeing from Orlando, this is what OKC does on defense. But obviously, the difference between the two teams are OKC has a bunch of guys who can score. This
Correct.
is how OKC plays defense. They're in your shorts. They're doing all these little things that are
Grabbing.
really
Yep.
fouls, but the ref's like, well, it's like there's like three of them at once, and they don't call any of them, but they're so minor. They do just enough to slow guys down, and well, he doesn't have the ball, so this is what they do. And so Orlando just happens to luckily only have two scores and nothing else. But it's just a brutal product to watch. It's absolutely gross. You haven't, I mean, has been any like pretty passing on a cut for a nice layup or dunk? There's like nothing like that in these games. Nothing, because everything is just bogged down with grabbing, clutching, holding. It's just terrible. It's a terrible product. But, like you said, we just got to make sure we take care of business on, Tuesday. Get these freaking guys out of here. Get this team out of here. Because like you said, Matt, it's going to be a breath of fresh air when we go up against the Knicks. It's going to feel like we're playing in a soccer field. Is going to feel like so much room.
Yep. And Tim, you are right. Silver's probably seeing close games involving the Celtics, which is not something very normal. Involving the Celtics and a Magic team, and maybe he's happy. And thankfully, the foul shooting was on point today. Oh man, completely different game. If we miss the same amount of free throws that we've been
Yeah.
missing this series, I'd have to look at it, but I know we've been missing like 7 or so free throws a game. So actually, last game when we lost, we missed 4. The game before that, uh we missed 8.
Jaylen Brown has been bizarrely, knock on wood, awesome from the free throw line this series. I mean,
Yeah,
awesome. I think he's 21 for 23 or something, knock on wood.
yeah,
So hopefully that's a permanent thing going forward. I don't know what the heck's gotten into him. Hopefully he's found whatever that thing is he needed, and he becomes a 90% free throw shooter, because that would be amazing with the way he goes to the hoop and gets calls. So,
yeah.
but
And
yeah, Matt, you're right. If
yeah,
they didn't make free throws, they would have been in trouble today.
I mean, thinking about like the defensive end of Pritchard had some amazing defensive possessions against the Wagner kid. That Wagner kid is
Yeah.
disgusting, by the way. Like that guy has such great body control near the hoop.
Mm.
Every time he goes up within like I would say 8 feet of the hoop, he gets it. It's almost automatic.
It
And
feels like it's automatic. Yeah.
no matter who's guarding him. And Pritchard did a wonderful job against him. Super thankful for that. There were a few, I was watching with my buddy Andrew, and he's like, "Oh, mismatch." I'm like, "No, I actually like this. I'll take Pritchard on Wagner any day of the week because Wagner's cooking. Porzingis, he's getting, Cornet, he's getting past all of our guys.
Yeah.
Horford with a turning back the clock game with 5 blocks, picking up full court. Also, it did suck he wasn't able to hit any of those threes. When we did get the open threes, we weren't really hitting. So, that's a bit tough. And then we got Tim saying that Lillard was just helped off the floor. Kevin Porter Jr. comes in for Lillard, and then boom, Andrew Nebhard hits a 30-foot 3-pointer. The
So
Bucks are in trouble.
here's my take on that. We don't ever root for injuries here, even when the Celtics are playing the team. And I'm not rooting for an injury on Lillard. And I'm not saying I like this, but we want Indiana to get rid of Milwaukee as fast as possible. Normally we root for series to go long, right? But Cleveland is going to sweep Miami. That's like a given. Not no like that's going to be over. We don't want Cleveland like sweep 4 games to nothing, and then Indiana goes 7 games with Milwaukee and is all beat up and tired going up against Cleveland. So it's a rare situation. Normally, I'm rooting for all series to go long, but when it comes to the Milwaukee Indiana series, I want that thing over fast. I'm hoping Indiana wins tonight. They take care of business in Game 5 as well. So they only play 5 games and they're rested going up against Cleveland.
And Indiana is one of those teams with the mid range, right? They're not as
Mm,
handsy. They do have a couple handsy guys with like Neesmith, a couple dirty players.
yeah.
They also have another guy, I forget his name. He wears like goggles. He's pretty annoying too.
And there's a rule in the NBA: if you wear goggles, you're a hacker. That's been
Yeah,
going back since like the old bull was a kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to give the Cavaliers some fits. But with the Celtics, Jaylen Brown had some really good defense. Banchero did not want any part of Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown was sticking on him like glue. He was fighting over some screens, and he was giving Banchero a really hard time. Banchero had a tough game today. He what was it? I think he had more shots than he did points.
He got to
Uh,
the line a lot though, so it's a little deceptive. His shooting percentage might not have been great, but man, he was getting to the line.
yeah,
That kid's
he
a
had
tough
9
outlet.
free throws. He missed 4 of them. He took
Mm.
32 shots,
Oh wow,
and
he needs to. They got nothing besides him and Wagner.
yeah,
They both should take 30 shots if they're smart. Yeah,
yep. Oh man, and again, Pritchard getting launched by Wendell. No, it was White getting launched by Wendell Carter Jr.
yeah.
Um, Tatum,
Football, more football.
yep.
You
Tatum
know.
with getting like across the arm and then a pull.
Yep.
Uh, there was follow through there as well. That was not just a hack. That was a
Yeah.
grab and pull down. Luckily, Tatum came back and then hit a 3 almost immediately after it. Porzingis looked a lot better. He was causing them all sorts of problems with those rim cuts. He was, but the guy cannot hit a jump shot like at all. Like he has not hit
His
anything that's not a
post-up
dunk.
game's gone.
His
Yeah,
post up
and
game's
they're
gone.
in it. They're in his head because every time he turns around in the block or on the post, they are their body is up against his and just pushing him a little back in the middle of shooting, and it's completely thrown him off. He's better off just rolling to the hoop, looking for dunks and layups and shooting threes. It's just they're not they're just not calling it like they should be. That's a foul. You can't even you can keep your arms down, but if you're moving forward, if you're nudging your body forward, pushing the player as they're jumping, that's a foul. Simple as that. I don't care if it doesn't look like much. Trust me, someone who plays basketball, that's throws your shot off completely. Any type of push contact to your body, any type of hit to the arms, it's like it goes from like a 60% chance of making the shot down to like a 10. That's why
Yep.
they call a freaking foul. That's why a foul in the basket's so hard to get. That's why
Yep.
you don't see them all game. Because when someone gets fouled, it's hard to get a basket at that point. So,
Yep.
when they get them, that's why everyone goes bananas.
Yep. He dropped that big 3. Yeah. I mean,
That was a
he
big
hit
one.
2 of his first
Yep.
threes. My dad mentioned Hauser hit 2 of his first threes. So now we're going home. And I think this is important. And Dad, I don't know if you listened to my pregame of game 3, but I predicted that our bench was going to fall off the face of the earth because they really do not do well on the road. Pritchard,
Yeah.
Cornette, and
You did.
Hauser do not do on the road. Sadly, Cornette and Hauser really haven't even done well at home this playoff. But I'm really hopeful that in game 5, Pritchard can actually turn it on. He feeds off the crowd so much. He did have some great plays this game, right? Hauser had some great plays too. He dove.
Defensive games. Pritchard didn't have anything offensively, really. He was really scrappy defensive wise. He was he was on the offensive end of the court. He was not
He
good.
had a good
You know,
offensive rebound. He had a couple of
he did.
assists. He was plus 11, and Hauser was plus 13. Hauser diving on the floor. I mean, our superstars had the shots, and I mean, I guess that is what it is. But
Yeah.
now that we're back at home, I think we're going to see a bigger game again from Pritchard, and we're going to see a bigger game from Hauser. Rebounding looks so much better. Felt like far fewer plays, extensions from the Magic. Yeah, they got their first offensive rebound like halfway through the second quarter. And
Yeah.
That was,
That was one of my points in the
yeah,
pregame is don't have those stretches where we're giving up a ton of offensive rebounds. We haven't had any games where we're giving them up all game, but it feels like every game we have like one quarter where Orlando has like 8 offensive rebounds in one quarter, and then we fix it. So I
yeah,
did say that in the pregame. I'm like, let's not have any of those. Let's make sure we take care of the defensive board. So, but
yeah.
we did have some good news on the telecast. They said talking to Missoula, blah blah blah. They feel like Holiday will definitely be back sooner than later. There's even a chance he could play game 5. Because let me tell you, folks, these are the game like the last 2 games. You see how much we need
I think
Holiday,
we win that third
especially in
game
the
if
end of the
Holiday's in
game.
there.
Yeah, we when we need someone to be a calming like influence in the third quarter or fourth quarter, he is super vital. So we need him back. I don't know if we should sit him next game and like think that way. Maybe if he could play, we play him. I'd like to get him that extra game rest, and then we really have like probably almost a week off between the next series. But I hate to play that game. But that is huge, people. If we find out that's serious and we don't have him long term, that makes the road
Well,
so much
luckily, you just
harder.
told us we're gonna have him, right? It's not gonna be a long term thing. That's what you just told us. It's breaking news from the old bull. Not just
Yeah,
8 in one quarter. Felt like play after play with at least 2 expense. Yeah, it
yeah,
was rough. Like there was a lot of offensive rebounds. One offensive rebound that they got tonight was egregious, and that was when Pritchard got tackled from behind, tossed down,
yeah,
and then the easy putback for Wendell Carter. That was garbage. Play him
yeah. That's
and get the extra rest. Yeah, I mean, if he could play, that'd be great. He did finish that game, right? I don't know when he hurt his
yeah.
hamstring. Um, I mentioned in one of the shows
That's a
that
good point.
he
Unless
took
he
the
did in
last
practice or something.
yeah. Yeah, he took the last 2 free throws of the game, and the next game he was out with a hamstring.
Yeah.
How so at this point, how do you and Tim and my dad, how do you guys feel about the Tatum's hand?
I feel good about it. They took him off the injury report. I was talking about that in the pregame. And, you know, he took a really hard hit today.
Yeah,
Like you said, I mean, that guy whacked the crap out of his wrist and
and
he
then
made
pulled him
both
on the
free
ground.
throws.
Yep,
Made both free throws. So
and
I'm
kept
feeling
making
good
free
about
throws.
it. Yeah. Brown, man, I'm just hoping like this was a 1 game adjustment because getting used to his dislocated finger or whatever. I hope this isn't a sign of what's to come because he was not good today. He did have a couple moments, but at the half, he was 3 for 11 with 3 turnovers. And think the reason why he almost didn't have like another turnover is they gave it to somebody else because the pass wasn't great, but I still thought he should have caught it. But hopefully it's just as an off game for him. So going back to TD Garden, we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and it looked like somebody killed my dog in front of me during the game 2 show because I thought Tatum was really hurt, and I feel great about his hand too.
Yeah.
Tim also feels good about his hand. They scared me with some of the way they were talking about this thing, and I was devastated. I think Holiday is likely tightening up after cooling down, and then age playing a factor. Yep. I mean, fingers crossed because Holiday is a game changer. I think I don't know if I was talking to Tim about this, but Holiday in the first game when he was guarding anybody from the Magic, they were 2 for 10. Um,
Yeah,
again,
Banchero didn't score a bucket against them that first game.
yeah,
He did an
Carroll passed
amazing
out of
job.
every time. Every time he had Holiday on him, Holiday would be great for those situations where Porzingis is just not producing. Right, like last game, shoving Porzingis in there. Towards the end of it, I don't think Porzingis is out there with Holiday. I think Holiday plays so big that you can deal with putting Holiday out there and having him guard like Wendell Carter Jr. Right, he's so strong. So, man, I'm so glad we're up 3-1. Oh, I was
Yeah,
sketchy for a bit there. What a major win.
and I was saying Matt in the pregame, I'm like, we lose tonight, we're guaranteed we have to come back to Orlando for Game 6. Think about that. We got to come. We get to not just play an extra game against these guys. We get to come back here. More opportunities for injuries. More opportunities for these guys to play dirty. More wear and tear on the Celtics' body. This was a huge win for them. It wasn't easy, but the boys pulled it through at the end. We get a Gus sighting.
Yeah,
I feel
Gus
like
is
wins deserve a Gus sighting. There
yeah,
you go, Gus. Good
Gus
job.
is very happy about the Celtics. He's wondering why I'm yelling so much, but probably stressed out.
Yeah,
But man,
yeah,
good Celtics win tonight. Like you said, not having to
absolutely.
come back for games, not having to come back, going back to our house,
Well,
um,
yeah. Hopefully,
and
not having to
hopefully
come
putting
back.
it away. The
Yeah,
players then we get to stay at home, and the next team has to come to us, whether that's the Pistons or the Knicks. I mean, from a travel perspective, like it's so important we win this next game. Win this next game, then you just wait for whoever, and then you're staying in your own home for a few days right there. The physicality of the Magic
yeah.
probably makes Holiday have to engage the glutes more than usual. Oh, I'm sure they're all taking an absolute beating. That is for sure.
Look at Dr. Tim. I love
Yeah,
Dr. Tim over there getting technical. You're probably right about that.
the glutes.
And
Yeah.
but yeah. Um. Oh God, what was I gonna say?
No, I mean,
Oh, I lost
like
my train of thought.
so watching the Pistons, and of course, don't want to look too far ahead, but it looks like almost every series in the playoffs right now has one of those just over physical teams, right? Pistons are so similar to the Magic, right? But they don't have those kind of two superstars. They just have Cade, right? And then I guess Pacers and Bucks, it's kind of clean. Uh, Houston and Golden State, watching that is miserable. I don't know if you guys have found time to watch that. It's very physical
Yeah.
games, and the Nuggets and Clippers game, that's some good basketball. That's probably, I think, the best series happening right now.
What an ending to
Yeah,
last night. Holy cow.
yeah.
I have never the old I'm like a million years old. Watched a lot of
No,
basketball. I've
it's two
never seen
million.
that. Never no, it's one. Don't age me that much. It was one I've never seen a ball like a game end like that. That was absolutely fascinating. So wow.
Tim,
Holy crap.
Tim, do you want to see the old bull and the young calf's shocked face? What? There was no doubt in my mind that this Lakers team was overachieving. My dad was saying months ago that JJ Redick is playing for the regular season. He had LeBron,
Yeah.
40
Playing
something or 40
almost
year old
playoff minutes.
playoff
Yep.
minutes just so you can finish third in the
Yep.
in
And
the Western Conference.
and it's catching up to them. And guess what? Their defense is still garbage. They're lucky like Minnesota goes cold because there's times I've been watching those games. There's times where Minnesota's wide open threes, and they go cold. If they were playing against a team that can hit the 3-pointer, they'd probably been swept by now.
Oh, I
So
would
the
love to play the Lakers
garbage.
in the finals.
Yeah. Oh my
Oh,
God, they were the first team in history, Matt, to have all five starters play the entire second half today.
yeah, I
The
heard that.
Lakers. The first team to ever. So I mean, they're just like burning all of their gas. So hey, I can't wait for Luca and LeBron to be bumped in the first round, and that way we don't have to. We'll let those stupid shows talk about them for one more week, and we shouldn't have to hear about them again because that's all you. Any sports show you turn on, that's all you hear about is the Lakers and Doncic, and this was even before the playoffs started. It was absolutely dreadful. It was
If you're
terrible.
JJ Redick, right, you
Yeah.
could have rested LeBron probably 10 games more games. You were up 10 games on the Sacramento Kings, and
Mhm.
instead you ran that guy into the ground. You chased 50 wins to be, blah blah blah, blah 50 win coach or
Yeah.
whatever. Not worth it.
Looking down, not
Nope.
great.
Nope,
So,
not at all.
oh, and I think in the point in the NBA, I believe that no one plays in the second round until all series are over. I think. So hopefully we wrap this up Tuesday and we have like a full week of rest, for holiday and all the guys after this crazy physical series.
Yep. I know. the second round might not really start until we're in Disney. We're close to it.
Yeah.
So, man, I am need to empty the tank if you are looking. Need to empty the tank if you're looking down the barrel. Yeah, I think self awareness is there in LA. You need Luca to absolutely carry you. You're not. I don't know how that what's it called, that Mavericks team got to the finals last year. Of course, it was an absolute gift that they did, but man, does it like 28 shots for Luca? It's like, yeah, you just scored 38 points, but you were still -3. LeBron, 46
Imagine that.
minutes.
Oh,
40 years
Luka
old,
scores
46 minutes.
38 points, -3 for the game. Oh my gosh! Like,
Yeah.
I mean that just sums up the Luka experience. What was Tatum's plus minus? I want tonight. I wanted to.
Tatum was plus
Well,
6.
2 stars. Tatum's never in the conversation with Luka when it comes to MVPs or who's better in the league. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this. No, I never see anybody switching to get Tatum on him, but everybody switches to get Doncic on him. And I think that's a
Oh
big
yeah.
distinguishing factor when you are talking about the best in the game, right? It's not the best in the offensive side of the full court. Nobody ever says that. It's the best in the game. Are people switching on you? And if people are switching on you, I don't know if you can really be in that conversation of the better players in the league. I don't know what it looks like for Shai Gilgeous. I know he gets a lot of steals. I know he's a pretty good defensive guard. I don't know what that looks like. I know Jokic gets exposed on defense. I know he's pretty lazy
Yeah.
on defense, just like Doncic, because he's not fit. I know he has a lot of gamesmanship around delaying the game to get more time. But
It's all
yeah,
about flash, Matt, with those guys. It's flat. Everyone loves flash and offense. Doncic and Jokic should not get anywhere near the attention they do because in basketball, the defensive end is so important. You see it every time there's one defensive weak link on a team. You see the negative impact it has on that team, how the other team hunts that matchup, like you said, and they just take advantage of that, that one weak spot. And to me, you should just not be in the conversation for best in the league if your defensive game is dumpster juice. It just should not be.
yep,
So, but hey, we live in a world we love pretty plays, and flash and big numbers. Oh, triple doubles, big numbers, blah blah blah. Yep. So that's the world we live in. I'll take Tatum over everyone. I would not trade Tatum for anyone in this league at his age, his experience, and what he does overall, not just on the offensive end and rebounding, but what he does on the defensive end.
yep. So game's over. 3-1. We're back on Tuesday. We are going to try and do a podcast tomorrow to discuss the Patriots draft. We think there's a lot to talk about there, and then we'll go
Yep.
8:30 on Tuesday. It's a late game, hopefully a closeout
Is it
game for the Boston.
8:30?
8:30.
Oh, that's good for me. That helps me out.
That's
All right, so I'll
a tired guy.
definitely be able to make that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Suck
Thanks
it
for
up.
tuning in, Tim. It's good seeing you, buddy. Tim, honestly, if you're going to be around during the after games, and you're going to be watching this, you could definitely join us for one of these post games.
Yeah. Jump in anytime you want, bud.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. And Tim, I got to respond to you about Dude Perfect. But yeah, in any case, bye, everybody. 3-1, baby.
Thanks for tuning in. 3-1.